Welcome to Politics Watch JA. We want to thank the viewers and subscribers. Today we want to talk about one very, very important discussion. You see, when you praise a man and you are praising man, you now have enough support in terms of evidence for sure why you are praising a man. It can be viewed as either a man a pay you to do it or because you have influence, you are trying to support your friend. You understand me I say? So we have this lady who's a Emmy Award winning reporter in where we work for Miami Herald, write an article about Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, and she claims Andrew Holness is making Jamaica become a mini superpower in the Caribbean. And we not I don't well we have to question why she do it and at why she do it at this time. So we are gonna discuss that. But before we do that, Mr. Logix, talk to the viewers and subscribers for me, please.
So big up our viewers and subscribers. And thank you guys for liking, subscribing, and using the comment section. Continue to do so. Share our Politics Watch GA channel with your family, your friends, your community, and at your workplace. So big up guys once again.
So, Mr. Logix, what a coincidence. What a coincidence that this reporter, Jacqueline Charles, released this article about Andrew Holness when Andrew Holness is getting a beating from Jamaica Labour Party is getting a beating from PMP in a Dan Anderson poll.
Right, and I think I don't even think it's a coincidence. I think it's actually a deliberate ploy by JLP surrogate, and I think the artist is paid for by someone in the JLP, Jamaica Labour Party.
You think that she was paid to release this article at this time to save Andrew Holness' reputation?
I think she was paid, right? And the reason why I think she was paid for this article is because of the recent polls and the fact that the government, the Jamaica Labour Party, has been on the back end of receiving a lot of backlash from society regarding PI, the public sector wage negotiation, and then the recent polls. So they're trying to take away, deflect from all that negativity that has been impacting the Jamaica Labour Party. And they go about it smartly by getting an overseas newspaper to do an article about Jamaica, knowing that once they do that, Jamaican media is going to bring, right, that good news that overseas, because we know that the Jamaican people like when overseas people give them praise.
Yes.
So, an overseas article doing that, the media houses are going to bring it because nationwide, right, which is not a surprise to me, given how they are skewed towards bias. They have brought the story in their news.
But what may I say still? She said that Andrew Holness recent meeting with Canadian counterpart Justin Trudeau, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, and World Bank President Ajay Banga. Andrew, if the country didn't perform well, them three leading leaders they wouldn't meet with Jamaica and Andrew Holness.
And that is such I don't know. I would describe that as such a stupid reason.
Is that a coincidence that them leader they right now I come to Jamaica and meet with Andrew Holness?
And the main reason why they're meeting Andrew Holness right now is due to climate change issues, right? Because he has been a voice of climate change within the Caribbean, but then persons can always allude to that the previous leader of Jamaica, actually Portia Simpson Miller, met with more powerful leaders than Andrew Holness. She met with Barack Obama, who came to UAE, visit Jamaica for 3 days. She also invited the British Prime Minister, which gave a speech. It was the first British Prime Minister, since independence to come to Jamaica and give a speech in Parliament, both house sitting, right? So persons could say that she actually met more powerful leaders than Andrew Holness. So when she did that, how come she was not seen as making Jamaica become a mini superpower in the Caribbean? No, as well. So it shows that this article really is actually released for a specific reason.
Voila. So we are say Andrew is not getting no credit for such leaders wanting to meet with him because he might do well for the Jamaican citizens.
I don't think it's a matter of him doing Jamaica well. Of course, it raises profile because when you meet such powerful leaders of organizations like the UN and the World
World
Trade
Bank.
Organization and the World Bank, etc., right? When you meet such powerful leaders as well as the Canadian Prime Minister of these countries and organizations, it does raise your profile. There is no doubt about it. But in my estimation, the main reason for um, these actually meetings is regarding climate change and not so much to talk about the issues affecting Jamaicans daily life. The main issues like our economic situation. For example, you meet the Canadian Prime Minister. If it was an issue regarding how our economy and the hardship that we're facing in Jamaica, right? Then you would actually convince, if the Canadian Prime Minister was actually concerned about that, the Canadian Prime Minister would say, all right, I'm going to have free access to Jamaicans to come to Canada and there'll be no visa restriction. Remember that after Prime Minister met the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, right? He and his government free up visa restrictions to many countries within the Caribbean. They did not do it for Jamaica. So that shows you that the Prime Minister of Canada, he did not care about Jamaica in that regard and the hardship that he faced.
Mr.
Unless
Logic.
he would have freed up access to his country, which is
True.
a first world country.
But Mr. Logics, JACQUELINE CHARLES has said new commercial and high-end condominiums are rising from the dirt. Minimum wage is going up. Unemployment is at its lowest. And it's been years of tourism, which is the engine of the economy, is booming after even COVID-19 lockdown.
Yeah.
Isn't that true about Jamaica and how Andrew Holness is performing? Why did I say Jamaica is becoming a mini superpower?
Well, those indicating factors I don't think are actually felt in society, especially on the vulnerable, right? Of course, it is a fact that minimum wage has gone up, but then most persons think that it's actually still too low given the high inflation rate. So of course, and this is no I don't understand why persons always say the minimum wage goes up and give the government a credit. What the reason why? Because in every single country on earth, right, minimum wage normally increase every 5 years. Why? Because the value of money will always continue to decrease. So minimum wage increase in America, increase in every country. In the next 10 years, 5 to 10 years, you're going to find out minimum wage increase again. Right? It has always been increasing every 5 to 10 years. I don't understand that in the case as inflation goes up, minimum wage will have to increase to try to push on the effect. But in our situation, the minimum wage increase is not enough. And many economists have actually stated that it's actually not enough. As it relates to tall buildings and all of these, tall high-rising buildings, yes, there's a lot of them going up in Kingston, especially the capital. But these profits of these tall high-rising buildings, most of them are apartments that persons will bought or are used for Airbnb. These profits are going back into the rich and powerful in pocket. It's not really affecting the poor.
No, but when I say Mr. Logics,
Yeah.
the economy isn't it stable because Jamaica has had a negative growth and double-digit deficits and crippling debt. Andrew Holness has brought Jamaica out of that, showing his ability to weather the crisis, even COVID-19 and so forth.
And I disagree with that because Andrew Holness actually did not bring us out of the crippling crisis or the high debt that we had. That program was started under Peter Phillips when portion the PNP won the election in 2012. They started the debt reduction. Jamaican economy has been stable since 2013, right up until COVID. I know that COVID impacted us and our economic cash for basically 1 to 2 years. But before that, our economy was actually stable right from 2012 until now, with the exception of the year when COVID impacted us. So our economy has been on a stable path, and the debt reduction started out in 2012. In fact, it started out before that when Bruce Golding and his finance minister, Ali Shah, tried to go for an IMF loan to cushion the effects of the 2008 economic recession. Remember that 2008 economic recession that affected the world when the banks crashed?
Yes.
Banking system? Right. That economic recession actually was more devastating to our banking financial crisis than actually COVID in some ways. The reason for that is that after that, Jamaica began to fail a lot of the IMF tests. We weren't meeting targets. And then there was a problem that the IMF would not give us another loan and the economy was going to crash. A lot of the investors and the banks were worried mad in Jamaica actually. They think it's going to be another FinStop situation, right?
Yeah.
And then now that worry that the private sector, the business people in Jamaica had, it stopped when PMP won the election and Peter Phillips came in and steadied the ship. And he renegotiated a loan with the IMF, right? And then he started a debt reduction policy where he basically reduced the debt moderately. And doing that, the economy was still able to grow by between 0.5 to 1% during the time for the last 5 years. When JLP won the election in 2016, the economy was growing by a similar rate, between 0.5 to 1%, right? And they were doing a more aggressive debt reduction.
Who you call
So the
there?
persons would have
Who you call there?
the Jamaica Labour Party, Nigel Clark, his debt reduction is a bit more aggressive than Peter Phillips. And personally will question that tactic. Why? Because you have to create a balance. If you're doing debt reduction, right, then you can't do so much debt reduction at one point where you're trying to reduce the debt and have the budget, right? So what he's actually doing, the debt reduction is taking a significant portion of the budget that's supposed to go to public sector wage workers as well as social ills of society, social programs, right?
Yes.
Like the NIS and the PAD programs. What they're doing with that is they have cut benefits. The government has cut benefits to PAD programs, all right, and reduce benefits to a lot of social programs in order to reduce debt. So what you're going to find is that those who are already poor or have disabilities, they are now going to be at risk, right, of having a significant hardship, right, regarding economic gains than actually under the previous administration who was doing it moderately. The person question that tactic, and the reason also person question it as well is that, hey, you're doing this and you promise that once you do this aggressively, we're going to get a lot of foreign investment. And persons are not seeing the foreign investment, so that is the issue. So if there was a lot of foreign investment, the economy should not be growing by just 1%. It should be growing by over 10%. You understand? So people are questioning that, hey, if you're doing this aggressively and promising that, the reason you're doing it is because it's going to attract foreign investment. Where are those foreign investors?
So, next thing, Jacqueline Charles had said, why she said Andrew Holness and Jamaica become a mini superpower in the Caribbean? Because Andrew Holness advocate for the stability of Haiti, while other Caribbean leaders, like them are play a blind eye to Haiti and Haiti crisis.
And the reason why the other Caribbean leaders are playing a blind eye to Haiti is one of two things. Number one, right? The most important one is that they are not within close geographical locations to Haiti. That's one. And two, Haiti, because of that geographical location, because most of the rest of Caribbean, they are on the eastern side.
Yeah.
Because of that geographical location, they are not impacted by crime. The direct link between crime, the guns and drug trade that Haiti has on Jamaica, so they are not impacted. The main reason why Andrew Holness has taken a leading role in that regard in the Caribbean is that Haiti is the most influential country on Jamaica in terms of gun to drug trade. So most of our guns in Jamaica that commit crimes here comes from Haiti. Now, Jamaica don't want to have a situation, in 2005, we don't want to have a situation where Haiti continues to destabilize, because once they continue to destabilize, it means that our crime is going to increase. Why? Because Haiti destabilizing means that they are not going to have any border control. Because those who are supposed to secure Haiti borders, most of the police, because if you realize, they said that 40% of the police force and soldiers in the 80s have now joined with the gunmen in those cities. They are turning rebels, right? And so they are not securing the body. They have now become gunmen, and they have guns from the forces. So what do you think is going to happen to Jamaica? These guns is going to even increase in terms of exports to Jamaica, and then that is going to impact us in crime. So Andrew Holness is basically using that underlying factor. It's not that he cares about Haiti. In fact, if Jamaica was not close to Haiti, he probably would not be speaking out.
So we are trying to say Andrew Holness are trying to reduce effect of crime. What would happen in Jamaica? That is the reason why he try to pretend like he assist Haiti.
Exactly. He's trying to reduce the effect that he's actually having in Jamaica. And guess what? People think that is a smart tactic. Why? Because other countries do the same thing. America does it with Mexico regarding drugs. They make these in order to try to reduce the migration from Mexico over the borders by giving Mexican government loans and so forth to try to support narcotic policies. You understand? So a lot of countries does the same thing so that is that they care about your country, is that they don't want the impact that you might have on them to be that significant. So he doesn't care about it, in my estimation. It's just that he's worried that at destabilize Haiti, and in fact, he has all the right to be worried. Don't get me wrong, he has to be worried, right? Because if he continues to destabilize, what do you think is going to happen in Jamaica? If they continue to stabilize, our crime is going to increase unless Jamaica is going to step up border control.
Okay, but what I say is that Jacqueline Charles try to make it appears as if crime is Jamaica's only problem. So the question may ask is, what about corruption? What about the low standard of living? What about the high inflation? What about the education system we are rotten down?
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because guess what? Alright, corruption, you know that when you're going to school and you teach the main topic on the board, right? And your teacher then have on the main topic subtopics, right? Corruption is the main topic, is the main thing that affects Jamaica. Corruption is the reason why Jamaica is where it is now. And the subtopic under corruption has been crime, high inflation. You mentioned education, and I'm glad I mentioned education because the education system that we have now leads to brain drain, where our main educators and our creative persons are leaving the island for first world countries, right? And that comes down to one big factor, corruption. Why? Statistics released that Jamaica has actually, corruption has cost Jamaica $50 billion over since independence, right? That $50 billion that corruption has cost Jamaica would have made Jamaica a first world country today. Had it not been for corruption, Jamaica would be a first world country today. So what does that mean is that had Jamaica not been a corrupt country, we would have actually less crime in the country because we would have more resources to tackle issues like those. And then now, most of these communities that where the crime rate is actually prone would not exist because most of these communities that have high levels of crime rate, right, are not planned, developed communities, right? They are unplanned. So what we have is planned communities where our children are able to go into safe environments, and then like we probably wouldn't even have 100 murders per year. So you find that corruption is the main cause of all of these issues. right, in Jamaica, and politicians started this corruption in the 1960s and 70s.
When
And
me,
we are feeling the effect of it too.
when me ask Mr. Logics, right? She said new
Yeah.
commercial and high-end condominiums are rising from the dirt. But Jamaica not have a land issue. We have a housing issue in a Jamaica. So how can
We
she
have our
ignore?
own issue in Jamaica.
How can Jacqueline Charles ignore that?
And guess what? As I mentioned, the housing issue, right? No, many of those condominiums and the tall buildings that you mentioned, right? Or the tall high buildings that you mentioned. Um, Remember that many of those buildings are built by what? By who? NHT, right?
Yes.
Remember that NHT developed the Riverhead apartment, right? The question is that many of us should ask ourselves, and it caused outrage last year. What was the purpose of NHT? NHT purpose was not to build this Michael Mann when he started NHT, because it was him that started NHT, right? His vision for NHT was not to go to the hierarchical class of the society or the wealthy persons of society. His vision was to build housing for the poor people. It was for poor people to pay a mortgage and then to get housing benefit. Now, for the last 5 years, we have seen, right, a switch in the vision of the role of NHT. I'm seeing where NHT is the main company in Jamaica, mortgage company, building a lot of these high-rising buildings, right? And then now, these apartments that NHT are selling, the poor people can't afford it.
But
So you have to ask your question. They're selling one of these apartments like for $30 million, right? Poor persons can't afford this apartment. So what you're going to find is, what's the purpose? NHT has lost its vision.
no, but another thing
right?
too. She said unemployment is at its lowest in years, right? But
Yeah.
persons that are unemployed that are employed in Jamaica, what level skill and what level salary do they earn in Jamaica? Because we see one time we wrote a bill, the Chinese have hungry unskilled labor, them offer the Jamaican citizens.
I asked yourself this question again. I'm glad you mentioned that, right? Because guess what? Reduction in unemployment does not mean the country economy is benefiting in terms of growth. That is why the country is still stagnant with growth. We are averaging always around 1%, right? For Jamaica to become a first world country, we can't be averaging around 1%. We have to have double-digit growth. And Jamaica, we have not experienced double-digit growth for decades now, right? So the question now you have to ask yourself, right? And I'm glad you mentioned, tourism is the backbone of Jamaican society. Right? Tourism industry.
That was what I was
and
going to. Is tourism impacting or helping to make a normal Jamaican citizen live a better standard of living?
No, and the reason why I'm saying is that the majority, over 90% of those who work in the tourism industry at hotels, they have always been complaining constantly about the low wages. If you go on social media, you realize that hotel workers is one of their constant complaints. Low wages, low wages, low wages. And guess what? Did you know that hotel workers in Jamaica, right? They don't stay in those jobs very long. They're always moving up and down, right? In fact, there's a big migration of hotel workers from Jamaica to overseas.
True.
Right? There has been a huge migration, and they are going overseas also to work in hotels. So what you find is that hotel workers, right? And I'm seeing this every week. Every week you find major hotels in Jamaica advertising for jobs. And why you have to ask yourself, why they're always constantly advertising for jobs? Same thing like call centers. The reason why they're constantly advertising for new workers is because the workers they have, right, don't stay in a job more than 3 to 6 months. Right? 3 to 6 months, right? A lot of them migrate or they find other jobs to go to, and some of them decide to do it at home. So if these industry, they are, and in fact, the question was put to the tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett before, as to why they are not doing anything about the low-paying jobs within the hotel industry. The jobs are very low-paying.
No, but now what the TPD can shut down the whole a little small man like the raw fitting and the
Yeah.
ride them the craft market and all of them thing the way the little small one I try to make a living out of. But the next thing more I say, the economic transformation of Jamaica. Even though Jamaica are do good on paper, does that translate to the normal Jamaican citizen a benefit from the economy? A trickle down effect from the economy of Andrew Holness administration.
No, it does. It's not trickling down. That is the problem why Andrew Holness and his government as party, they are they're becoming less and less popular, and they're very unpopular right now because the common man on the ground, right? And we call it trickle down economics. They are not feeling the effects of this trickle down economics, where you're having debt reduction and the promise of a lot of foreign investment in the country. The average man, we're not feeling it because inflation is still high, and it's hard to cushion the effects of high inflation with the pay that you're getting. The majority of Jamaicans are finding it hard to cushion that effect.
So when you
The effects of high inflation.
when you compare Caribbean countries, um, is Jamaica outperforming Caribbean countries at this time in terms of
No,
economic transformation?
no, Jamaica is not, because Jamaica is still ranked the second poorest country in the Caribbean behind Haiti. So we're not outperforming. Right?
Behind or above
We were the
80?
third behind Haiti and Guyana, but Ghana has surpassed Jamaica now because they find oil.
Okay, so in terms of
It seems that Jamaica would have to find oil.
so in terms of the struggle with violent crimes, because you see, the thing is, the problem I have with Jacqueline Charles now, I mean, I think she do a balanced assessment of Andrew Holness and the government. In terms of the...
And mention that she does not live here either, so she doesn't understand the situation.
No, but may I say, in terms of the struggle with crime, because Andrew Holness, every national security minister and prime minister has had a problem with controlling crime in Jamaica. Since crime has got out of control from both in the 70s or so forth.
Yeah.
And
every security minister has a problem.
How has this crime affected the... Because to be fair with Andrew and him alone still, because they have Bunting and asked for divine intervention when he was national security minister. You have
but here's the difference though, right? Here's the difference with Andrew Holness. Yes, it's not him alone that affects crime. Every prime minister since the 70s, crime has affected their administration, right?
Yes.
But guess what? You know what's the difference? Andrew Holness is the only prime minister since independence, right? That has been using state of emergency situations to deal with the issue. And guess what? The issue still has not been dealt with. But remember that when the PNP was in power, they weren't using SOEs, you know. And yet, when Bunting called for divine intervention, yes, he called for divine intervention, but the statistics shows that when Bunting was security minister, the average murder rate was lower then than it is lower now. And yet he was using state of emergency. So the questions persons are asking, the state of emergency is supposed to make Jamaica having less crime within the country, right? So why are we having more despite Andrew Holness administration? In fact, Andrew Holness administration is the only administration since independence that came up with a crime plan. You know, what is that crime plan? Right? Remember that no administration has came up with a crime plan, you know?
Yes.
His administration is the only one came up with a crime plan. And the crime plan they came up with is called Zozo, right? Zozo is a crime plan. So the question is, if his administration is the only administration that came up with a crime plan, which I give them credit for, but it's still not having effect on crime.
No, but why? So why? Because crime and corruption are the two most severe.
Right.
If you ask any Jamaican right now, they say crime and corruption are the two biggest problems we have. But we see where Jacqueline Charles, she just ignore those two factors and give Andrew
right, because guess what? It's not affecting her. That is why I think the article is being paid for and it's being highly skewed towards making the Jamaica Labour Party look good, and they're not going to talk about the issues affecting us like crime. So it
No,
is a paid for article.
but we see
In my
where
estimation.
but Mr. Logics, we see where Jacqueline Charles come out and say the article is not politically motivated. Because she has said she has looked at the
And
progress of Andrew Holness since he became leader of Jamaica in 2016.
And I think it is because the persons are asking what progress. If he became prime minister, you're expecting his administration. Alright, well, you can make an exception for COVID because COVID came in 2020. But guess what? Andrew Holness was prime minister 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, right? Before COVID came. During those years, there was a great economic boom in the US, right? And European countries. Remember that Barack Obama last term, along with Trump first 3 years, the US economic was booming and growing by 4 or 5%. China was booming. And guess what? Right? Jamaica still was growing at the same rate like under the US administration. So what progress? Right? You can't be saying that you're having progress and then growing by the same rate. You have to each administration has to always try to outperform the previous administration, and you took over from the PMP and you're growing the country by the same percentage. That doesn't make sense.
So hold on, now Andrew Holness was saying they have 5 in 4. Or 4 in
5 in
5.
4?
Yeah.
I don't even understand what he means by that. By that 4 in 5.
EPOC, he said the country going to have 4 in 5 or 5 in 4.
They said, but we have experienced that. What Jamaica is experiencing now since COVID, right? In economic terms, is recovery growth. Recovery growth means that they are trying to recover the loss that they had under COVID. So the economy declined 10% under COVID, right? So they are trying to recover back that 10%. So if they recover 7% of that 10%, right? It is not real growth, it's recovery growth. And that is what the economy is trying to do now, recover the loss from COVID. And once it recovers about the 10%, then now you're going to see how the economy grow from few years from now. And it's going to go back down to 1%.
Alright, so
Based on what it was before.
Viewers and subscribers, I want to thank you for tuning into Politics with JA and listen to the conversation regarding Andrew Holness and Jamaica becoming a mini superpower in the Caribbean. We have more we could have discussed, but we have to cut it right here because the video has become very long. So Mr. Logis, so talk to viewers and subscribers before we cut out.
So again, viewers and subscribers, remember to like, share, and if you know persons out there that you can share the video, this video on our channel with Politics Watch JA. Do so actually, get them to also like and share and use up the comment section. And also remember to tune in for the best in local affairs, current affairs, politics. It's always Politics Watch JA.
Alright, Mr. Logis. Look more we talk again. Bless up to viewers and subscribers.